What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be talking about Palantir Technologies. And over the past couple of days, I've been able to uncover some more information about this lawsuit that involves Palantir directly. So there is a lawsuit against the UK's NHS over its involvement with Palantir. So this could cause a variety of different outcomes. Nothing could end up coming from this, or Palantir could lose this £23.5 million agreement with the UK's NHS. We're also going to go over some of the very unusually bullish options activity happening with Palantir right now, and ARK Invest absolutely going crazy in their dip buy of Palantir. So before we get into all of that information, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you go down and hit that like button and hit the subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video, so you get to stay up to date on all of your favorite stocks, learn about a couple of new ones, and see exactly which options I am trading and which strategies I am using to trade them. So coming over to the chart of Palantir, we can see that over the last week and a half, Palantir has fallen a significant amount. Now, the overall market was having a pretty large correction over fears of inflation, and we all saw the rising 10-year treasury yields. So Palantir actually had a very significant sell-off after its earnings announcement and the share lockup period expired, but we are seeing it bounce back up today, about 4% at the time that I am currently recording this video. Now, moving over to the option chain of Palantir, we have some very unusual options activity on the call side that we definitely need to take a look at. So coming over to the option chain, we're going to be looking at the March 19th expiration date for 2021. Now, this expiration date is only about 2.5 to 3 weeks away from the current date, and we are seeing a massive open interest on these $30 strikes. 60,500 almost of these contracts are being held by individuals or institutions at the current time. And we can see that almost 17,000 of these contracts were bought and sold today. So there is a lot of activity on this specific strike. Now, since Palantir has an extremely high implied volatility, you can see that these call options are still decaying in value because Palantir has to move such an extreme amount to overcome the theta decay and the implied volatility in the option chain in order for these contracts to gain value. So even though Palantir, their stock price is increasing, we are seeing a decrease in the contract prices. So this kind of just shows that options traders are extremely bullish on Palantir going into the next 2 weeks of trading. Now, coming over here, we can see that on Friday, Cathie Wood's ARK Investment added about 3.4 million shares of Palantir. So ARK added about 2.5 million shares, and ARK Next Generation Internet, ARKW, picked up about 868,000 shares. Now, if we want to take a look at a little bit of a wider view of ARK's purchasing and buying behavior of Palantir over the last couple of weeks, we can come over to this website where it kind of gives us a nice overview of ARK's buying behavior, and we can see that over the last week and a half, ARK Invest has absolutely massively ramped up their position in Palantir. They went from about 2.4 million shares all the way up to the current position that they have now of about 12.57 million shares. Now, in an interview that Cathie Wood had, she said that in times of market downturns, they will sell off some of their lower conviction names in order to create a loss for tax purposes, but will buy in higher amounts to their highest conviction names. So it seems like Palantir is absolutely one of the names that ARK Invest and Cathie Wood have a super high conviction on for the long term, which to retail investors, it's always a good sign to see that a massive fund like ARK Invest is buying the dip in these specific hyper growth stocks that we have been talking about on this channel in massive amounts. So now let's get into some of the more fine details that I was able to uncover about this pending lawsuit against the UK's NHS that directly affects Palantir. So coming over here, we went over this article last week in one of my other Palantir videos, but according to Sky News, the lawsuit claims that NHS England failed to consider the impact of the deal on patients and the public by performing a fresh data protection impact assessment. We went over exactly what a fresh data protection impact assessment was in my last Palantir video, but essentially what this means is that when you have a deal or a different program that could put some of the public data at risk, you have to perform some sort of assessment, and the results of that assessment need to conclude that the data that you are collecting is necessary and not harmful to the public. So essentially what this lawsuit is going to be about is data storage. So people need to have a say in data deals with big tech firms. That is what one of the representatives of this organization here, Open Democracy, said. So the Pandemic Data Store is the largest amalgamation of data in NHS history. Originally, they were told it was a temporary data store for this emergency and that it would be shut down at the end of the pandemic. Now, the first deal that Palantir received from the NHS was actually for a nominal value of £1 in March. Now, there are a couple of reasons why this agreement was only for £1. A lot of it will have to do with a legally enforceable contract. Sometimes you do have to provide some sort of payment to another party in order for it to be a legally enforceable contract. I'm not an expert on contract law, but from what I know about this topic, there are situations where payment is required. So the contract was then extended to cover Brexit, the flu, and the pandemic vaccines. And the NHS is arguing that this was all done by the book because Palantir is an accredited supplier to the UK public sector. Now, doctors are arguing that there is not enough transparency, that Palantir has deep ties with the US government. That is why some people are a little bit worried about Palantir having such an influential role in the NHS. But Palantir has been super helpful and effective in the UK's handling of the pandemic. And then it was also mentioned that the chair of NHS England met the boss of Palantir for watermelon cocktails. I don't know why that detail is so important and they had to put that in there, but it's possible that watermelon cocktails are like a code for something else. I highly doubt that's the case, so they were trying to hide something maybe, but I highly doubt that. This lawsuit might be frivolous. They're just a little bit worried about data. We've seen this a lot in the United States over the past couple of months. We've seen a lot of big tech hearings in Congress about data and other topics like that. So coming down in this article as well, we can see that imagine you're doing something unlawful. How would you avoid getting sued? Lately, if you're Boris Johnson's government, it seems you try sneaking it through before anyone noticed. Unfortunately for them, it didn't work this time. We've just issued a lawsuit over their £23 million NHS data deal with controversial spy tech company Palantir. Now, this article uses a lot of buzzwords and kind of tries to paint Palantir as the bad guy in this situation, and the NHS as kind of a foolish institution. So we're taking the government court to court because right before Christmas, they quietly gave the CIA-backed firm a major long-term role in handling our personal health information and in England's cherished National Health Service. Now, I don't think that this was quietly. We knew about this deal right as it had come out. So this organization is making some pretty bold claims about Palantir. Coming down a little bit further, we can really get a good look at what this organization actually thinks of Palantir and its executives, and they cherry-picked a quote that says, from Peter Thiel, that says, "I no longer believe that freedom and democracy are compatible." Now, this quote really has nothing to do with the article. It doesn't flow anywhere. It's just here to draw some attention to what they think Palantir is all about. Coming down a little bit further, we can see that Palantir's tech has been accused of creating racist feedback loops in U.S. predictive policing software. Its own staff have criticized its role in Trump's brutal deportation of undocumented migrants. Coming down a little bit further in this article, we can see that this isn't just about Palantir. The future of the NHS is being written now. In the latest chapter of the pandemic, the government has put us on notice that sweeping changes to our health service are on the way. They present both opportunities and grave risks. The government has a legal duty to consult us, citizens, and NHS users before they strike massive deals which affect that future. In doing so, they need to take important steps like conducting data protection protection impact assessments. Now, the NHS has actually made a comment about these data protection impact assessments, and they said that they have previously performed a data protection impact assessment, and when they believe that the time comes that they need to do another data impact assessment, they will just do another one. So coming down a little bit later, more broadly, our elected leaders need to explain their long-term plans for our cherished NHS. Now, we've seen a lot of these lawsuits and government hearings in the United States, and nothing really comes of them, which is what I think is going to be happening to Palantir. Now, if we only see that this is the only lawsuit that comes out and there's no really other chatter about this and it doesn't really get blown out of proportion, I don't see any reason why investors should be worried about Palantir long term. This company comes out with new contracts with different companies. It seems like every other week they're releasing a new contract. They recently just renewed a contract with 3M and have a agreement with IBM in which they are going to be helping to distribute their Foundry platform. So that is going to be it for this update on Palantir Technologies. If you guys enjoyed this video and the information that I was able to provide for you, make sure you go down and hit that like button and hit the subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video, so you get to stay up to date on all of your favorite stocks, learn about a couple of new ones, and see exactly which options I am trading and which strategies I am using to trade them. So I hope you guys are having a really profitable day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.